Okay, welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell.
Susan, you look very vibrant today, I must say.
Thank you.
When I saw you in the parking lot, I was coming in, you were going in. Little Miss Red Riding Hood. I mean, you look good today.
Trying to match your Texas Tech
Is
cup.
that what it is?
Yeah.
We need to dust in a little black on the scarlet, but you look very nice today.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Your red looks better than my red, but we're kind of clashing.
A little matchy, maybe.
Yeah, a little matchy, but you know.
The On Your Side matchy plan.
We did, but you know what? We still look good, right? We hope.
I think so.
Hey, listen, we're talking a little bit about selling your home and or our homes and what you need to do. I mean, this is a weird market right now, not only in Phoenix, but across the nation,
It's
right?
a super weird market. I mean, so many people are so committed to where they live right now because they have great interest rates that they can't match right now, right?
Sure.
So there's not much inventory.
Right.
But people still are moving here to the valley, so we need inventory.
That's true.
They're not building houses fast enough to match the demand, so it's still kind of all over the place.
Seems like they are, though, because everywhere I go, I see new, suburbs, or not suburbs, but new houses going up. And, it's just...
The communities,
The communities. It's just, it seems so out of control. But, like we talked about, one of the problems with selling is... maybe their house just doesn't, fit the needs of people who are looking. I mean, we have so many people coming in from Chicago, California, from across the nation. But we're talking about what can you do to get your house kind of like more visible out there and in front of more people and get it sold for a higher price than what you normally would.
Yeah, well, when we moved here, we got a bargain, quote unquote bargain, because the people who we bought it from hadn't done a single thing to it since it was built in 1995. So we knew it was going to need a ton of updating. They took beautiful care of it. The house itself was very clean and nice.
Yeah.
It was just 1995 tile and 1995 linoleum, 1995 Formica countertops.
Oh my gosh.
So there was a lot we had to do. We were able to see, the forest through the trees, and we decided this is something we can tackle, but there are a lot of people who do not want that project.
Well, I mean, and that's why they sold it the way it is. It's like, Miss Campbell, I hope you like the Formica and the outdated tile and everything else.
And we did not.
But you got a bargain. You got a really good bargain, though, right?
We did. We paid a lot less than we would sell it for now.
Sure.
That we've updated for sure.
Absolutely. So listen, we've got a new way, I guess you could say, to kind of like update your house if you're selling it to make it more appealing and not to deal with the remodeling that kind of comes with. I mean, that's a big headache when you hire people. General contractors and this and that. One of our coworkers is going through that right now, remodeling her kitchen. Her refrigerator is in the living room. She's not selling the house, but they just want to update it. Yeah. But it is a big process. Hey, today Olivia Mariani from Curbio is joining us. How are you today, Olivia?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Mariani, that's a nice Italian name.
It is.
Very nice. And you're joining us from Maryland, right?
Correct, right outside of D.C.
Okay, well, thanks for being on the On Your Side podcast. For people who are not familiar with Curbio, but they're also interested maybe in remodeling their home before selling it, that is a big pain in when it comes to remodeling. So how does Curbio kind of help out in that situation? How does the business model work?
Yes. So Curbio removes the barriers to making more money on the sale of your home. Pre-listing updates are nothing new. Real estate agents know that an updated home is going to sell faster and for more. And 77% of buyers actually say they won't consider a home that is not move-in ready. And so it's to your advantage to update. But what Curbio does to make it simpler for sellers is, number one, we front the cash. So with no interest or fees, the homeowner pays at closing for any repairs or updates, whether it's staging, cleaning, or something bigger like a kitchen or bath remodel. So everything's really turnkey, white glove, it's taken care of. So it's a really easy process. The no cash up front is very attractive to a lot of people, especially when moving, who don't want to take out a loan or touch their money. And it's going really well, helping people make way more net profit on their homes.
So let's use Susan's house that she bought as an example. So she was the buyer, and she was willing to put in the sweat and tears and money to renovate the house. But let's kind of flip that and go to the seller, the person who sold Susan the house.
Yeah.
How would you or your company, how would you have helped that seller? What would you have done when it comes to, say, that kitchen that had the beautiful Formica?
Well, certainly what's different from Curbio versus your typical contractor is we're really only going to advise you and work on things that will improve the outcome of the home sale. So we're looking for profit driving renovations. We don't want to spend time or money on things that won't necessarily move the needle on your return on investment. So when it comes to that Formica example, we would certainly update the kitchen, but depending on the condition of it, we may not need to replace cabinets or do an entire renovation that requires permits. A lot of times the bones are okay. We just need to come in, paint the cabinets, lighten everything up, refinish the floors, replace the countertops, hardware, lighting, and that ends up being a refresh, which is very profit driving and costs less money and time.
So let's talk about the actual return on investment. What are some of the things that are the best things to do for more money on the sale? And what are some of those specific things that don't actually move the needle, like you said?
Great question, actually. We just came out with a report that analyzed over 2,000 projects that Curbio has completed. And so I do have those top 5 projects ready to share. Number 1 is a kitchen refresh. So what I was talking about in the example before, when you're not necessarily spending so much money to remodel, but you're just refreshing, painting cabinets, new appliances, things like that, that has a 377% return on investment on average, which is phenomenal. After that, the top projects are refinishing hardwood floors at 348% return on investment, basic listing prep, which is like minor fixes and sort of things that will come up in an inspection, 297% ROI, roof replacement, 288% ROI, and then carpet replacement, 280%.
The roof thing surprises me because that's one of the things that, you know, buyers aren't seeing that when they're walking through the house and feeling like, oh, this is home sweet home. I can envision my kids playing in the backyard or anything. But it is one of those things that matters, because if you've ever had to replace a roof, you know how expensive it actually is and what a project it is.
Let me just say, to a guy, that's one of the first things we look
You
at.
look at that.
Because we want to see, are we going to have leaks? Is this going to be a problem house? But did that surprise you, Olivia?
A lot of homeowners are just looking at the lipstick, as we call it, you know, the cosmetic fixes that make a home look livable. But I think when it comes down to it, sellers and buyers both want to avoid inspections or hiccups in the inspection process. And so doing the roof, if it's needed to replace, definitely pays off.
Hey, I think one thing we didn't talk about, which is kind of important about the company and the services you offer, for people who do want to do the kitchen remodeling or the new roof or whatever, they don't have to come out of any pocket. So how is this being paid? And then how does your company get paid?
Yeah, so Curbio fronts all the cash for the pre-listing work. We get paid at closing. So once the house sells, Curbio gets paid, and we make our money just like a general contractor. So we charge a fee for our services that's baked into the overall contract. And we have, you know, supplier relationships that allow us to get great margins. We're also in 55 major markets and counting. So that scale really adds up.
So what happens if the house doesn't sell?
We always get that question. So first of all, I do want to say, even with the crazy market, we've never seen that happen. We do put in our contract that if you decide to love it or list it and love it and stay in the home, Curbio just gets paid like a general contractor for our work. So we can work out a payment plan, but we haven't seen that happen because I think it's really hard to resist the extra money in your pocket.
You showed us a couple, at least one really impressive example of a home here in Arizona where the as-is value started at $250,000 and the sale price jumped up to $325,000. How did you make it happen?
Yeah, I love that story. So Phoenix is such a hot market. There's a huge interest in buying turnkey move-in ready homes. And what we did with that particular project in the Valley, is we did some basic touch-ups. So things like interior paint, freshening out the hardware. We also did some small but very important projects for prepping for sale, like decluttering and staging. And we also removed popcorn ceiling because that is just a no if you're selling. Buyers don't want that. And so, yeah, that made a profit of around $55K, which is phenomenal for the seller.
We have to talk about the popcorn ceiling. For somebody who is getting ready to sell, that feels like a giant project because it is every single room in the house. But you say this is absolutely worth it.
So worth it. You know, I've seen some crazy listings where people have like their Lord of the Rings collection on display, and it's like you got to depersonalize before you're selling. Even if you loved that wallpaper you chose, the potential buyer needs it to be a blank canvas. And so when it comes to staging and making things very sparse, that's so important. It really does drive up the price of a home simply by decluttering and staging.
Yeah, that could be a real turnoff with the popcorn ceiling. It's like a time machine back to the early 1970s, right?
Yeah. The house I grew up in Ohio it wasn't popcorn ceiling, but it was one of the textured ceilings that almost looked like floral on the ceiling. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was special.
Hey, the easy way to get rid of popcorn, just spray it with a little water, right? Get one of those scrapers on a stick, comes right off.
Are you offering up your services to anybody who has popcorn ceilings right now?
I'm offering up easy advice, easy ways to get that popcorn stuff off your ceiling. Yeah, so that home you just talked about, it did wind up selling, and they only, the project was only $19,000, but the profit was $55,000. So obviously, well worth it.
Yes.
Yeah. So how many? You're in 55 different markets, right? So I guess you're here in Phoenix. Where else are you?
Yep, we're in Phoenix, and we're throughout the country. So everywhere from San Francisco to Washington, D.C., and we're always adding markets. We're going to be in New York City later this year.
Where do you get most of your leads? Do you have real estate agents who know you and love you and want to work with you? Or is this families coming to you because they're Googling, I need to update my house to get it ready to sell?
Definitely both. We get both sides of the coin, but real estate agents are for sure our primary channel for going out to the world and getting Curbio services in the heads of sellers. They have a great relationship, and this is a great tool for agents as well, to be able to pitch this service of like, fix your house up, don't pay anything till it sells. That's why you should work with me. So they're a great channel for us, and we have many brokerage partnerships in Phoenix and beyond.
Well, you bring up a good point that you don't want, if you are getting ready to sell a house, that means you're probably getting ready also to buy a house, which means your financing is already determined or at least pre-approved. And you can't take out a loan without making your mortgage loan officer incredibly mad and screwing up the whole process and having to start over again. Yeah. So if you can do that, if you don't have that money in the bank ready to go, it makes sense.
I like the way this business model works. I mean, you don't have to come out of pocket money, and you'll get it on the flip side. When you sell your house and you go to closing, you get that big fat check. Hey, I'm curious, the name Curbio, how did that come to fruition? Where did Curbio come from?
Curbio stands for curb appeal inside and out. So, we work on the inside and the exterior of the home to make it ready for sale.
Oh, very clever.
I bet the exterior is important here in Arizona.
Oh, it's got to be, right?
I feel like that's probably a lot of projects that you guys work on here.
Definitely. We do a ton of things, from landscaping to removing stucco, painting homes, siding, all of it, decks.
But you also know you don't want to get too involved with it, because you want that house to sell. You want it to be a profit. You don't want to put so much into renovating that you're going to lose money on it. That just doesn't make sense.
Definitely. I mean, we will ultimately defer to the real estate agent if they think like to sell the house fast or whatever's needed. However, we give an estimated return on investment with every proposal we share. That's based on the agent telling us what the home is worth as is and after the updates. And so we're able to show them that spread, and that really educates people on, is this worth doing or not?
And to be clear, there's no interest or anything tacked down to this. Let's just say there's a $20,000 remodeling job. That $20,000 is going to, you guys are going to have to take your share, but it also goes to pay off the contractors involved.
Yes.
Okay.
No interest or fees. Contractors get paid immediately, which is why they love working for Curbio. It's a really easy process on the back end, and the seller keeps all the profit at the end.
Okay.
I think one of the things, so I asked you about what actually does have the best return on investment. What's the thing that is totally not worth it, that people shouldn't waste their time or money on? Is there a room in the house or an update in the house that is very personal to a particular homeowner that doesn't transfer to the next person?
Two things that we've seen. The first is just doing the finishes too high end for the property. A lot of people go way too much on materials like stone for countertops or a bathroom, and it can add up really fast. And so we don't advise. In fact, we keep a very curated portfolio of materials that are cost effective and, set for the type of listing, whether it's luxury or standard or more builder grade. We also don't see any sort of difference in most markets. I say most because things like Florida, it can really help, but like putting in a pool is not necessary. It's like the jury's out on that one.
I disagree. We're in Phoenix, so
In Phoenix, it probably does too. I have to look at that.
Yeah,
you're probably right.
Yeah, everybody needs a pool here. All right,
Scratch
listen.
that. Pools are worth it in Phoenix.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking of like DC.
Hey, Olivia Mariani, you're with Curbio. Thank you for joining us on the On Your Side podcast. If our listeners out there want more information, or maybe they're just interested in learning more, how do they get a hold of Curbio? Any social media websites or anything like that? Go ahead.
Yes, of course. So Curbio.com, you can get in touch with us on our website. We also have a free mobile app in the Android and Apple store where you can play around with our free estimate tool and see what it would cost to update various things in your home. And if you're interested in working with us at Curbio.com, you can click Get Estimate, and we'll connect you with a real estate agent. If you don't have one, you can bring your agent to us. So that's how it starts at Curbio.com.
Okay, listen, it sounds like a great business model. So, and you guys have been around for a little over 6 years, you said, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks for joining us on the On Your Side podcast. Really appreciate it, and have yourself a good day, okay?
Thanks for having me. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton, and I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can. Send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.